here on The Mix. My first guest is William Dickens. He is an author and a media arts specialist, and he's just put out a book called People, Volume 2. Let's get to know you, William. Good morning, welcome to The Mix. Who's William Dickens?
I always wanted to give it my best, always researching information so that I could present the best information at all times.
This book, People, and this is Volume 2, so let's go back a bit to Volume 1. What prompted you to write it?
I gave some thought to the fact that my late dad, Mr. Charles Dickens, made an indelible impression upon my life.
In what way?
I remember as a child, he encouraged us to read because he would present stories on a daily basis. And I was fascinated by that. And I believe that created a desire within me to do something about that. And I also wanted to preserve his legacy. So I thought about writing a book, compiling data on people within our community and those persons overseas as well. As a result of that, I thought that if I could do a comparative analysis in the context of the things that he shared with us, that would help to preserve some of his memories.
It's interesting in an overview of the book, it says that you want to highlight a few selected people who, being part of the world's population totaling 7 billion, have been defined and influenced by distinctive characteristics such as ancestry, alma mater, color, culture, ethnicity, geography, identity, political affiliation, and religion. That's a lot of categories. How did you determine who went in, who you had to cut out? Who did you struggle with in terms of putting people in or out of the book?
Well, let me say that preparing this book was not an easy task, because when I first started out, I was just comparing and contrasting the late Right Honorable Errol Walton Barrow and the late Brantley Adams. And while researching these two icons, I discovered lots of similarities, and that formed the basis of the framework for how the book would take off.
This is Volume 2, so what were some of the things that were in Volume 1?
Some of the things that were in Volume 1, particularly, I wrote a story on school children sharing information. And it so happened that the main focus of the information was that one person said one thing, and then when the story was related, there was something completely different which caused miscommunication. So that was interesting, and for starters, I thought that I could use that to build on something more substantive like what we have here now.
How did you go about choosing who would be in the book, and how difficult or how long was that process?
That process was not long because inspiration was flowing. So by the time I had completed the task of preparing information with Mr. Barrow and Mr. Adams, then the thought came to me, why don't you do a comparative analysis on President Clinton and President Obama? So I proceeded with that, and while doing that, the thought came to me, then why don't you do a comparative analysis on Jonathan Sobers and the other cricketer,
Worrell.
Then I went on
Sir
Frank Worrell. Then I went on to look at other people like the Honorable Mayor Morley and James Barrow.
And then you've got Dame Antoinette Miller, which would be Billy Miller, and the comparison between herself and Baroness Margaret Thatcher. The one that really gripped my attention was between Gabby, Anthony Carter, and Aretha Franklin. Could you want two more disparate styles and genres of music, but yet the impact is the same?
Yeah, but let me say this. I want the public to know that I did not have any special knowledge of these people. I just randomly chose icons and started to do research. And as I continued doing the research, I discovered the similarities, which was very interesting.
It's interesting too that you put in some other information as well. So you're juxtaposing information more so. It seems as almost like you're juxtaposing information more so than just writing a book.
Certainly.
So you have in 2009, Sir Lloyd Erskine Sandiford was assigned the position of Barbados' ambassador. But close to that is March 24th, 1937. The National Gallery of Art was established by Congress. So you're putting information in a sort of context. Who were some of the people that assisted you in writing this book? Because I can't imagine that a book of this magnitude must call for research and support.
Well, let me say I've done all the research myself.
Wow.
And I'm thankful for my wife, Magnolia. She's been able to assist me in editing this book. And another friend of mine, Mr. Stuart Russell. This was a mammoth task. It took me approximately 2 years. And you have to be prepared to spend time. You have to be disciplined. You have to be constantly checking. But I love what I do. So that way it's not that difficult because I'm enjoying every aspect of it. And this book primarily was written in the context of nostalgia. Because if you get a number of people gathering at your home for a social activity, and you may just have a little discussion and you may ask some questions, and then if a person is not sure, you can refer to the book and point out certain specifics to them.
Okay, well, we're going to take a break, but when we come back, we continue to talk with author William Anderson Gittins about his book, People, and we start talking about the whole task of self-publishing. So roll it. And we're back here on the mix with our first guest, author William Anderson Gittins, and his book, People, Volume 2. Now, before we let the break, we talk about the whole process of researching for the book, researching information for the book, and putting it together. I really want to nitpick, get into who is William Gittins. He's really kind of shy, so it's been like, pulling the information out of him. But I know a couple of things about him already. One is, he actually used to work here at CBC. So, William, tell us about that part of your life.
Oh, I really enjoy that aspect. As a videographer, a freelance videographer, my job description entails going out to scenes, recording incidents, covering sports, things for the newsroom. It was a lot of fun. And if I saw anything that I thought would be newsworthy, I'll capture it with the camera. And, offer some ideas to those persons who are responsible for putting on news. And that was a lot of fun. I enjoy that because I feel that's part of the package of being a media artist. And it's a lot of fun. It's enjoyable. You can manipulate images. You can manipulate things with the technology, and use your various angles to make definitive points. So it's really interesting.
You also were, I think it's the first ever
Official police artist.
Official police sketch artist. And that's got to be a really cool job. How did you get that position? And what is being a police sketch artist entail?
Well, initially I was a police officer, but they utilized my skills in that area. And all it required is that the person who fell a victim to a particular circumstance would come to the office, and my responsibility was to have a discussion with them to extract from them those critical areas to help form the sketch. But I must caution you that having the natural ability as an artist is always good, because what you can bring to the fore in creating a semblance of the person who committed the crime helps tremendously.
How do you get people who are traumatized by a crime that may have occurred, especially if it's a personal crime, not one that they've witnessed, it happened to them, to be able to give you the details of the person's face or something about them, and you translate that into paper? Because somebody will tell you, oh, he had a big nose, and then you actually see the person, you think, no, not really. And eyewitness accounts are always less than reliable. So how do you get the person to give you the details you need so you can make that sketch as realistic as possible?
Well, let me say that the first thing the artist should have is knowledge. I have a knowledge base of people, eyes, nose, ears, and so on, different cultures. You work with the people, and the next thing you must also do is to try to offer some empathy and sympathy to the person and try to work with them and get them to relax. And it's a process, it takes time. You do what you can, you stop, and the person's ready again, and you go back and you solicit more information and you work with them. Right?
Now you would think that the job of the police sketch artist should be clearly risk-free, because to a large extent you're taking these sketches and information to make the step in the actual police station. But were there any risks involved in the job?
Never really had any risks. Like all the work I do, I enjoy, and I try to get people to relax, so that helps tremendously.
Let's get back to this book, People Volume 2. It's filled with sketches, all of it done by you.
Mm-hmm.
So tell me a little bit about that whole process. Once you identified the particular person that you want to talk about, how did you go about doing the sketch?
Well, I look for images of the subject or the icon, and then I brought my own flair and style to the icon. And each artist has his or her way of approaching dealing with things. So I'm an illustrator, so I just decide, and I must say that in a few minutes I have these illustrations completed. Again, I say that having the natural ability helps tremendously. It's not anything that you can force. It comes natural. If it's part of you, it just flows.
It just flows. The technology now allows so many people to self-publish.
Yeah.
So the whole process of sending a manuscript to a publisher and hoping that they like it and that they do all the grunt work for you. You can now do all the that yourself. So explain to viewers out there who may be thinking, oh, I can do that. I've got a book in me that I've always wanted to write. What is the process of self-publishing?
Well, I've always said to people that even though you don't have the tools for publishing, here's where you can start. Persons may say they don't have the time. You can invest in a small tape recorder, and the things that you want to publish, you can speak those things onto the tape recorder. And at some point you can hook it up to your system, that is your desktop, and it will print out the words for you. You might not be able to type, but you can get someone to type for you, okay? And your responsibility will be to share all your information and let that person type it out for you and format it and things like that, which I do for myself. I do all my typing, format it myself, and the only thing that I allow other people to do for me is to do editing. I do a bit of that myself as well. When you are satisfied that all of those things have been taken care of, then you have to look at how I'm going to print this, whether I'm going to print it in soft paper or hard paper or whatever. But then cost is also critical, so you take into consideration what your budget is like and you work with that. What I've discovered by doing that helps. And then always you have to invest in a very good printer.
Okay.
And I find that having a good printer helps me tremendously. Then you can also take it a bit further. You can also...
So you're printing the first...
There's some of them.
The very first issue yourself.
So then I would utilize someone else to print in bulk for me. Because the printer really can't
do the number of copies you want to do.
Right.
You've got an ISBN number, which is a very, very good thing. So as against a book that may be a novel where you may not necessarily need an ISBN number, you chose to have an ISBN number.
Yes.
What's that like?
I visited the National Library Service and told them what I would like to do, and you would give them the name of the book, and they will ask for like how many copies you plan to do, the year of it, and what type of book is it, and so on. And they make the appropriate arrangements for you. But this information is sent off to Guyana, and then they will contact you and they will give you the ISBN number.
What are you hoping for this book? Because just in browsing through it quickly, there's so much information in here and it's attributed to so many sources. What are you hoping for this book?
I'm hoping that this book will, one, be used as a historical book, educational book, and nostalgia as well. And cause people to sit up and think of the contributions that other persons would have made in society and the struggles they've gone through to get where they're at. Because nothing is easy, but you must persevere.
Okay. Where can I buy a copy? Can I get it in local bookstores?
The only bookstore that is carrying this book at this point in time is Cloisters. All the Cloisters bookstores are carrying, and it's also on DVD as well.
Great. So you know what's my next question? I can go on Amazon and buy a copy and download it to my iPad and read it wherever I am.
Not as yet. Not as yet. I'm giving some consideration to that because one of the things that people are not aware, when you submit your work to Amazon, it's they take funds from your account. I think it's on a weekly basis, whether the book sells or not.
Okay.
So I'm still toying around with the idea.
Okay. Are you hoping for it to become a document of a book that's read in schools? Because as I said, there's so much historical information
Certainly.
in here.
Certainly.
Okay. Well, William Giddings, I really want to thank you. This has been really, really great. I look forward to being able to flip through my own copy and learning some stuff because I've seen things in here that already I know was information that I didn't know before. And I hope that you get a lot of copies sold and that the Ministry of Education takes a look at it because it's a great book filled with information about Barbadians and other people who've made contributions to society as a whole, not just here in Barbados. And you've done a tremendous job on just the research and putting it together.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure.
Thank you. That's William Giddings there telling us all about his book. It's called People, Volume 2, and it's by William Anderson Giddings. You can get it at every cloister on the island, so go on out and get yourself a copy. Now, as you know, we're in the month of November, and we're looking